Jared DeYoung, the first one on from SoCal. Gordon Smith as usual, in Denmark. Nice Friday evening in Europe. John Hanfield in Newport, Rhode Island, where he will be celebrating, like a lot of Americans will be, Memorial Day weekend. Warren Schasser in Brisbane saying good morning. It's Saturday morning in Oz. Stingray up in Seattle. Happy Friday for him and to everyone he's wishing. Bob Walker in North Texas. Good day, guys. Been a few days, but keeping up with the live stream. Welcome, Bob. And Joe Cool is on time. He says,
amazing.
Yes, he's here on time. Welcome to you, Joe, and everyone else who's joining us in our 8th year.
Wow.
Live from Studio B here in San Francisco. It's going to be a beautiful weekend, but chilly.
It is.
Not El Nino, La Nina, apparently. We've got influencing our weather for the rest of this year and the hurricane season, perhaps. Hello, Chris Exley from sunny, warm Salem, Mass. And Joe Holtzman checking in from sunny Colorado. He's in Estes Park. And we welcome all of you to our show number 712 for Friday, the 24th of 24, May 24. Pedro Foiling Sailor is here and everywhere. He must be in Sydney or in the Sydney area. Normally he is. As we get this one ready to go and through the starting line and off, if you're 12-meter sailing this weekend, that would be a nice feature.
Ooh, would.
Julia,
sir,
what are we celebrating today? There's your first clue, and I've got another clue for you.
Carnival.
As well. Does look a little carnival-ish. What is it?
It's Carnival in San Francisco.
My co-host, the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club landlady. No, it's another country, though. There's another clue underneath this when I remove the lower third.
Irish linen. Bermuda.
It's Bermuda Day.
Okay.
They celebrated on the, I guess, last Friday of the month. It's always just before our Memorial Day weekend here in the States. And it's a big deal. I didn't realize what a big deal it is. It's a public holiday in the islands of Bermuda. It's celebrated on the Friday before the last Monday. Okay, there's a technicality there, which always makes this the fourth Friday in May. Bermuda Day is traditionally the first day of the year that residents go into the sea, fishing, boating, and otherwise, swimming, I guess. It is also traditionally the first day, rather, on which Bermuda shorts. I should have worn shorts.
You should have.
I've got my red pants on, Julia, but I should have worn some Bermuda shorts. Bloody hell. Get the lower third away.
Yeah.
And it's the first day that Bermuda shorts are worn as business attire, although in recent years, Bermuda shorts are increasingly worn year-round. Many people also see Bermuda Day as the first day on which they can go out on the water after the winter. Consequently, there's always a rush to get one's boat in the water before Bermuda Day. And it's a nice holiday. Here's a quick video.
Don't complain.
To get us in the mood.
Cause I just got paid. So in trouble right now. Cause when you see we don't walk and all we don't get paid is now things start. We heading out there. Link up with big brethren. Cause now it's time to party. So come my yard.
They have this big parade. This is from 2022, I believe. And it's always, I love Bermuda. How can you not love Bermuda? British civility, American spirit, Caribbean diversity even. Bermeems is that video. Thank you very much for that. James Frederick Bland is saying, I've changed over to shorts today. Well, in Texas, in Austin, Texas, it's probably pretty bloody hot. By now, Ted Ryman checking in from Cape Town. I know in Valencia and Spain this time of year, it is hot.
Yes.
Happy Bermuda Day to all of you who are celebrating it and those of you who might like to. And we're celebrating, as always, those of you who are patrons via patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrator for helping keep us on the air. Julia's in her red dress. I'm in my red pants and my Stag Cruise shirt from a couple years ago because it is the start of our 4-day weekend. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's officially Memorial Day on Monday.
Red, white, and blue.
And we don't say Happy Memorial Day. It's a solemn day.
Right.
I remember growing up in Dexter, Michigan, the little burg where outside of Ann Arbor where I grew up, and on Memorial Day, I think the parade was on Saturday because I think it sometimes interfered with racing. Yeah, racing at the club Saturday afternoon. And Tommy the tuba, I'd put my tuba on and play in the marching band as we went down Main Street into town and from the high school and back out to the high school.
Wow.
It was a long march. It was hard. It was tough. That's why I have a bad back. It's not from sailing. It's from carrying the tuba around, the sousaphone around for all those years. Thanks to everybody who supports us via Patreon. Become a patron if you're not already and give us a few bucks a month. Helps keep us on the air.
And is appreciated.
So is our FOSI Leonard Takahashi, who is helming. I guess it's not an official thing yet. He hasn't been up in bright lights and named as the helm, but he has been helming the team when they're practicing. The team released a video with him as the helm. You'll see it in a moment. But bravo Zulu to him. That's the theme of our show today, not some of this favorable outcome of a couple lawsuits we're going to talk about, the court actions, legal actions. As people are checking in from all around the world, Graham Sweeney up in Scotland should have used Bermuda shorts as the drinking word. And Gordon Smith in Denmark saying, by the way, tomorrow is towel day. Grab that towel, some peanuts, and a pint. What does that mean, Gordon? Give us a further explanation, if you would, please. Is that a Danish holiday or a Scandinavian holiday? John Hanfield, Newport, Rhode Island. The U.S. sailing members need more power. No way the non-sailing CEO should be going to Paris. I agree. In a weak moment, I started to say on the show Tuesday, let him go. No, he should be gone. This has got to be costing at least $150K just to send him to Paris.
Really?
Well, I don't know if it's 150, but he probably flies business class, and he probably has a fancy hotel in Marseille and wherever else. Thank you, Matthias Collins. Haven't seen you on. Matthias is normally down South America. Likes this shirt. Well, it's a little summery. It's red, white, and blue, and it is the start this weekend.
Yes.
It's sort of the unofficial start of our summer.
Right.
Big family barbecues normally on Monday, on Memorial. It's a 3-day weekend, 4-day weekend. Hardly anybody works today except crazies like us.
Right.
Right?
And there's something like 72 million people on the road.
It's the busiest, I was seeing on the tube this morning, the busiest travel holiday in 20 years. Post-COVID, even though the prices have gone up, we've got 20+% inflation in gas prices and so on because of, we don't need to go into that.
But it's freedom.
But yeah, people want to get out and about. They're tired of being tied down. And if you're celebrating it this weekend, bravo Zulu and have a great weekend.
Oh, here's Gordon Smith tells us what Towel
Does he?
Day.
Read it for us, please.
Towel Day is celebrated every year on the 25th of May as a tribute to the author Douglas Adams by his fans. On this day, fans openly carry
Openly carry?
I lost the
Somebody
the
put a
line.
comment in there.
Oh, here they are. Carry a towel with them, as described in Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Aha.
Now we got it.
Yeah.
So that's what
to demonstrate their appreciation of the books and the author. Yeah.
And what was the key number in that book? The answer to the universe. It's the number that when we did the IACC, we've talked about it on this show before, it was the number that when we did the IACC rule, remember the 12-meter rule was based on, you did the quotient, you did all the formula that came out, it had to be less than or equal to 12 meters.
Yeah.
As you did the dimensional analysis. And these guys all get it. They all know the number was 42. Not 43, Baton Rouge, it was 42.
Aha.
And when we did the IACC rule, all the nerds I was co-chairing it just because I was a wordsmith and was representing the defender. But
Yeah.
the nerds, the technicians, all knew this book well, and they said, "Okay, let's make it come out at 42."
Mm-hmm.
And that was the original formula for the IACC class because of this book. It later got changed to the approximate length of those boats, which were 70 feet, 65, 70 feet. So it got changed to, tell me what, 20 something meters, so that the formula looked like the length of the boat, which was probably Croutonic as well. Training to win, said 42. That, of course, is John Emmett. Hamish Ross is on. Baton Rouge is on from normally Charleston, South Carolina, on this holiday weekend here in the States, as we do celebrate a lot of things. It's a good news show. We got a lot of good news today. Our sport is wonderful. The FOSI are wonderful. And let's start right out with a Bravo Zulu to Leonard, a.k.a. Leo Takahashi, whom we've known since, I guess, 2017. He was in the Gov Cup back in that era. And he has been helming. Apparently, it's not official. I got a text from him just before we went there, saying it's not been announced as official, but yes, I am helming. You'll see a video in a moment where that was put out by the team, where Leo said, "Yeah, I'm helming," and in response to a question from the interviewer. But ETNZ has revealed not only their youth team but also their women's teams. And they did this some time ago. This is not exactly new news. What's new is that it looks like Leo, our FOSI, who's been on this show, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 times, is helming. So let's start with the women. And they are going to be very, very good, especially with all the practice they're getting in. And we'll show you a video from that in a moment. But Joe L.A. and Erica Dawson, Gemma Jones, Liv Mackay, and Molly Meach. How does Joe pronounce her last name? You Kiwis down there and will know better than. Can you give us a phonetics pronunciation of her name? Joe L.A.? L.A., I think it is. That is a strong team, at least on paper, but also anybody who knows anything about sailing, and women's sailing in particular, particularly Kiwi women's sailing, will tell you what a good team that is. And they went through quite a selection process for the men's and the women's teams, the youth and the women's teams. Here's the youth team, and that is Josh Armand, Oscar Gunn. And then the female is on the team is Verly ten Havet. She's obviously, I guess that's a Dutch name. Seb Menzies and Leo Takahashi. And as Stingray is saying, some of those ETNZ ladies have been sailing in Sail GP too. And of course, Leo has been sailing in Sail GP as well, and maybe some of the others. So these are two really strong teams, and bravo Zulu to them all, especially to Leonard, who it appears is, at least to start with, and probably through the whole thing, is going to be helming the AC40 for the Kiwi, New Zealand, the AK Kiwi, Youth America's Cup team. Now here is the selector. He was chair of the selection committee. We've not had Josh on the show, but he is highly respected. We've talked about him, featured him on the show for having won the Finn Gold Cup in the year that he didn't qualify for the Olympics. But he helped train up their Olympic effort, and he was the selection head. He, of course, now is a stalwart, by now member of ETNZ, has won the Cup twice with them. He's only 33, only. Big, strong guy, terrific sailor, and this is what some of his career highlights, in winning the Cup in 17 and in 21 with ETNZ, and was the Finn Gold Cup, which is their World Championship winner, in 2019. He's from the Worcester Bay Sailing Club, an accomplished and internationally recognized dinghy sailor. This is the CV from ETNZ's website. He campaigned in the laser before the 2002 Olympics, before going on to switch to the heavyweight men's fin class. He has excelled in the fin class, producing some career-topping performances in 15 and 16, competing in the 16 Rio Olympic Games, finishing 7th, joined ETNZ in 16 after winning the 35th and 36th Cups. Josh is back with the team for their second defense in 2024. Now, he, having led the selection process, said, quote, "Congratulations to the 10 sailors that made the cut. As a team, we're very proud to have this exciting group joining the wider ETNZ team. Selection is just the first step of a mountain to climb, and we want to win both the youth and the Puig, it's not Puig, it's Pooch Women's America's Cup events against a very competitive field. So the hard work starts now, and we hope to continue for many years to come in the team. And they could well win both. It's not out of the realm of possibility, although there's some other strong teams shaping up, including the Aussies, the women's team of the Aussies, including Olivia Price, another FOSI who's been on this show, right, Julia?
Right.
Any number of times. Josh Jr. had special mention for not only those selected, but all the people that applied. Get this, quote, "It is worth also acknowledging the 121 people that initially applied for the selection process. That is a huge amount of talent and a healthy sign of the strength and passion for top-level sailing in New Zealand. So we hope that all continue sailing to the highest level."
That is a good thing.
It is indeed. Let's check on some comments here. Gordon Smith, is the youth squad mixed? I believe it is, Gordon. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe by rule they must have at least one of the other gender. They're going to have 4 women and 1 man, or vice versa. I don't know who is helming the American, the AM. I assume you mean John Hanfield, the American 40. Going up the comments, when will they get away from the folded arms photos? I don't know. I saw that and I said I should say something about it, but maybe I won't.
You've already said enough.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's both teams, right? Where's that?
Yeah, but not everybody. See, they're two holdouts.
Liv Mackay, who is from this famously good sailing family in New Zealand, she's not got her arms, and nor does Joe. And arguably, they are well, Molly, they're all pretty heavily experienced. The guys, though, here we are, we're the tough guys with our arms folded, including Ten Hava Viral? I wonder if she pronounces her first name.
I don't know. I would say Verily, but we ought to find out.
We should find out, and indeed we probably will. In due course, we'll probably hear their names pronounced a lot. So let's go to Leo, Leonard Takahashi, who is, as I said, a FOSI and by now a dear friend. This is a photo from back in, I think, 17 or 18 when he was sailing in the Cup, Gov Cup, that is. And you see, I mean, the guy's got a sense of humor. His crew have got their white ball caps on. He's got skippers, like he's out of Gilligan's Island. And he's got a great sense of humor. He's got a big smile. And as you said, Julie, he's just a very attractive personality and person.
Yeah.
And as I said, we've gotten to know him down there at Balboa Yacht Club in the Gov Cup, where he has been runner-up thrice. 3 times he's been the runner-up. And he's also the subject of what maybe is the most famous, at least in the modern history of the Gov Cup. This is a photo by another one of our FOSI, Mary Longpree, took this. She just happened to be in the right, as she often is, at the right place in the right time. When another FOSI, Harry Price, cracked into the starboard quarter, that corner of the boat, and Leo obviously did not have his feet hooked onto the hiking straps. And when Harry's bow hit their stern, that pushed the stern out from underneath Leonard. So that was Leo versus our other FOSI, Harry, another one of our FOSI, Harry Price, Olivia's brother, in 2017. Now this is a video that was taken by the PR team. It's Andy Rose interviewing Leo at Balboa Yacht Club.
This week is just try and keep it pretty simple. Newport Beach, you're jumping into Gov Cup 22s, which are really unique boats. Not many people in the world have sailed them, apart from the people that have competed. So keep it simple. Always lead back in Newport. It's light winds. You got to lead
Smile.
back. It's kind of cool, you could say, and so that's what we're going to do. Keep it simple, and obviously use our speed, and hopefully we got some speed, and hopefully we use our speed, and hopefully it slowly comes back to me as a regatta.
Chris
goes on.
Bretschker, Andy.
By finals day, I've got the form that I might have, and hopefully it comes back then.
So,
What do you think in the last 2 years you got second? What were your strengths, do you think? Why did you do that well 2 years in a row against very tough fleets?
Obviously, coming second was a bit hard the last 2 years. But what was our strength really was we were fast. We were really fast in the Gulf Cup 22s, and that played to our advantages. But obviously, we're not going to have that every year. So this year we might have to change some tactics around. Maybe we might have to come out more aggressive.
now you saw some croutons' hands in that.
Yeah.
That's me with an iPhone trying to pick up a little bit too. But that team, that was 2019, and Leo was there as well as another team from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, and Nick EJ.
Oh, yeah.
They also sent their own PR team. So that was a video actually courtesy of their PR team. There's the cover slide that they used of that video. I found it this morning. And the two of them were in the finals, Nick EJ and Leo, in the 2019 Gov Cup. And it was hard fought. Nick EJ went up 2-0, and then Leo came back and tied it up 2-2 in the 2019 Cup. And then Nick went on to win it, making Leo a three-time runner-up.
Oh.
Nick EJ won an intense final match against now three-time Gov Cup runner-up Leonard Takahashi, also a member of the squadron. After taking a 2-0 lead, it is unlikely Emmett Johnson was feeling too comfortable, given the fact that Takahashi had come back from that same deficit in his semifinal earlier that same day against Frankie Dare from California Yacht Club up in L.A. Takahashi and crew never lost confidence in their abilities and quickly tied the series 2-2, setting up the fifth and final race. And Julia, it was one of the best. It was just a fabulous series and just an amazing day, nice conditions, two great kids. 2019 is 5 years ago. It's hard to believe.
I did see the video of that.
You did. You were watching it, probably watching it live. But
Yeah.
Leo he said it modestly, humbly, but he is quick. He's one of these guys like Melgus and like, any number of other people who just get in a boat and make it. Bruce Nelson, the guy I sail with at University of Michigan, the famous yacht designer down in San Diego, could just hop in any boat, large or small, and make it go fast.
Yes.
There are a lot of sailors like that, and Leonard is one of those.
Yeah.
He can make a boat.
I really remark about it because there are people with magic and they can just make one change in a lead by about 4 inches.
And I'm not even talking about changing the lead. I'm really talking about sitting back there in the back of the boat and steering, trimming the main if they're doing that, and also steering and making the boat go fast through the waves.
With very little movement.
Exactly, and very little effort.
Yes.
David Pricey is on here, the esteemed father of both the aforementioned Olivia and Harry Price, and he and probably Christiane, his beautiful wife, are watching. Love the Gov Cup. I hope your health is back to 100%, David. He's had some surgeries. He had quite some tough times here. Maury Oho Stokes. Last episode, there was discussion on the NG in Tauranga. It is pronounced like the NG in ringing.
Ringing.
There's a native speaker, a Maori speaker we have so many smart, cool people on here. Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much. Ringing. So Tauranga. Tauranga.
Mm-hmm.
So barely. Okay. I gave a talk, as Julia knows, she was over there at San Francisco Yacht Club on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave an America's Cup date. It was the first one I've done since, in 2 years, better part of 2 years. And a nice turnout. And the Vice Commodore at San Francisco Yacht Club, whose name escapes me. Remember his name? He's a Kiwi. And he's very strongly supportive of Emirates Team New Zealand and very knowledgeable about the America's Cup. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get him on the show. This guy's a cool guy. I'm sorry I don't remember his name.
Sitting next to me.
No, he was in the back row.
Ah.
Not the guy who was sitting next to you, whose name was Matt. Mark Husted, looking good. Like the shirt, just checking in. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, we're back at it. We had our little bout with both of us had our second bout with COVID. Well, that was 3 weeks ago. Yeah. FOSI Neil Collingridge also had a hard time recently, wishing him a speedy recovery. Had not heard that, John Emmett. Thank you. He's often on here commenting, and a mate of yours, I know. Larry Kennedy, the Bimbos, representing the race committee from Long Island Sound, Long Island Railroad. He's on the railroad. He must be going out maybe to Oyster Bay. Thank you, Larry, for checking in. And let's do a video now. This that we've mentioned a couple times, the interview with Leo from a couple days ago after he'd come in, and it's released by the team. And they said, "Well, you're the helm, right?" And he said, "Well, I guess he's very humble and modest. I guess I am." It's, but as he texted me this morning, it's not official, but it's looking like he's gotten the tap on the shoulder. So let's have a look at this video.
Day 79, sailing LEQ 12 with Team New Zealand. Here chatting with Leonard Takahashi, youth driver, I guess. Are you driving on board for the youth team?
Yeah, that's the current plan at the moment.
Yeah. How are you finding the experience of sailing the AC40?
Yeah, they're a very cool boat. There's lots to it, and yeah, really enjoying the learning process. Lots of time in the sim, and then putting that out on the water is pretty cool.
Yeah, and you're finding the crossover between simulator and sailing the real boat achievable?
Yeah, no, the sim's great, and I'm really enjoying playing the game as well. It's a cool tool to learn all the buttons, and then actually being able to put it on the water is a pretty cool thing to be able to do. And then I enjoy the gaming and the racing side of things as well. So it's really good practice.
Yeah, awesome. How much time are you guys expecting to get in the boat in the lead up to your event?
As much as we can, hopefully. But we're also helping the bigger team and the senior team work towards getting their result at the cup as well. So we're kind of just taking as much as we can, but just in the sidelines, ready to go to do as much training as we can.
Yep. And the rest of the youth guys are following the same pathway as you and enjoying the learning process and finding it pretty cool?
Yeah, we're all here, spending as much time as we can at the base, and then being out on the water and watching the other team sail as well. Every time you're on the chase boat, you're actually just taking in as much as you can, listening to the comms, and then even just being able to watch the boats go around and do as much racing as we can. We're learning from that and taking notes, and then we just kind of try to take in as much as we can and put it into our own practice.
Yeah, brilliant. We've seen the launch of a whole heap of all of the AC75s except for the French now. Any favourites, any standouts that you see, anything you really like or dislike?
They all look pretty nice. It's cool how the designs, where every team has gone in the design process, and I'm really looking forward to just seeing all the teams get out in one area and seeing them how they line up. I really like the look of the foils, and just the technology that's gone into this cup is pretty cool. So I really just enjoy being part of the whole process and taking it all in.
Okay, I would have given my left you-know-what at age 20, 21, 22 to be
Doing that.
hooked up with an America's Cup team.
Yeah.
Getting this kind of experience.
Wow.
I mean, it's a fabulous thing that Grant Dalton and the Kiwis have done with
Right.
this Youth America's Cup.
Yeah.
Well, we started that here.
Yeah.
We had that in the Cats here.
Right.
And it's a great idea, and it's been developed. And Jody Shields says, I can now be a fanboy of Leo, and Leo stays with him,
Oh, yes.
with Jody there in
Oh, I
Wanji
forgot that,
Wanji.
yeah.
Those two carry on. But bravo Zulu to them. And Leonard, again, the humble, modest guy that he is, and he doesn't. I'm sure what they're telling him, if you play your cards right, you're going to be helming. But when the team issues a video that has on a lower third that says Youth AC Helm,
Yeah.
Leonard Takahashi, You know, what's a simple crouton like me supposed to think when I'm putting a show together and doing a promo last night saying we're going to have the youth helm, which has now apparently been announced. So it won't be flat water outside of the hotel and outside of the breakwater in Barcelona. It'll be interesting. Mark Husted, a very good point. This is a smart guy, this Aussie who lives up in Göteborg, who's a chef, a pastry chef, among other things, and a hell of a good sailor. Nice to see you on, Mark Husted. Here's another video. This is from today, or Friday in New Zealand. It's Saturday down there, obviously, now. Courtesy of our friend Roger Mills, FOSI as well. He's been a frequent contributor over the years by now. Lets me use his YouTube videos. He's a photographer and videographer called Hummingbird Video and Photo, and he's done some stuff with the classic yachts with Hamish Ross and that gang. Did a lot of stuff shooting from afar during the last Cup. Yeah, Chris, actually, good question. Won't there be two helms, one on each side? And I don't know how they're going to do that. If they're going to helm windward side and then on the leeward side, or if they're going to swap. That may even be up to the teams to decide how to do that. Because obviously you can helm from the leeward side, and they're not crossing over. Now this is today, Friday, down there. And I'm not even sure Leo's on one of these boats. I asked him, and I didn't get a clear answer back. But one's got the yellow tip main, and one's got the blue tip main. I believe the blue tip main, is the women, or is the youth team rather, and the yellow tip main is the women. But look at this. I mean, there's some close hand-to-hand combat here. A couple of times when one dips, it looks like they're doing starting practice. And one of them dips below the stern of the other. Not this. This is upwind tacking practice, obviously. Covering. Push button sailing, to be sure. They're not steering the boats by push button. I think the one without the yellow tip on the top, without the yellow tip on the top of the main, is the customized LEQ-12 Stingray, is saying. I also think it is also a slightly taller mast. Could be. But they're both obviously pretty similar.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Ooh.
Look at that. And Alistair Murray, hello, Mr. President, observing, obviously, very cogent. Look at that. Goes below them to leeward and heats up and gets around the bow. Yeah, it's a good observation, Alistair, I think. Prescient, cogent, cool observation. Looks like some rain coming through there. Okay, well, you get the idea. This goes on a little bit. Roger Mills, his video, Hummingbird photo, video and photo. Thanks to him. Sailing ballet, Ted Ryman is saying. All three of these teams, the senior team and the women's team and the youth team, are all going to be tough to beat. Wouldn't that be something if they won all three? I, for one, don't think that'll happen, but we shall see. Okay, enough of that. Bravo Zulu to Leonard, his family, to Rob Fry, who's another FOSI, who's often on here watching the show. He's a regular down there in Auckland. And John Emmett is saying, they make the 49ers look slow. Well, they are, comparatively.
Aren't they?
Good point,
Yeah.
John Emmett. Good point. Speaking of John Emmett, we have the coaching corner coming up now. John Emmett sailing. He's on his couch again. He must be nursing that. Look at that speed with white caps all over ripping it. Okay, let's get to John's video submission for today.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the FOSI. Welcome to John Emmett's sofa, safest place for me to be at the moment, I guess. And I wanted to talk very much about promoting our wonderful sport of sailing and inclusivity. Now, the way I see it, sailing should be a very Broadchurch, and I see a lot of people will switch between the two. There's people at Castle Cove who will do IQ foiling in the week and they'll sail a 420 at the weekends, and that sharing between sail sports is a wonderful thing. And I think it's really important that we keep ourselves all together, and it's about promoting the sport and having a say. So for me, it's a little bit like Europe. If you have all those countries together, they have a much larger voice to say what is good for Europe rather than just individual countries on their own. And when it comes to the negotiating and promoting the sport, I feel it's very much like that. And that's what will worry me if, for example, the old guard take something like the kite surfers and try and separate them from the other parts of the Olympic sailing. Where does it stop? I mean, you could argue that the IQ foils, they're on boards, not boats. Maybe they shouldn't be part of sailing, etc., etc. So I do hope the Olympics is something that brings us all together and really helps us showcase our sport. We have a very good opportunity with the media just to show what exciting sport that sailing is, all aspects of it. And actually, I think in terms of sailing remaining Olympic, the viewing figures is a big part of that. And hopefully it's not just doing world-class coverage for those active sailors or aspirational sailors or people considering sailing. Hopefully it's something which can promote sailing to people who wouldn't consider it. It's the Robin Hood effect. So after Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves came out with Kevin Costner, archery clubs up and down the country had a lot more members. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm really passionate about, is making sailing welcoming for everybody, whatever part of the sport they enjoy. And talking about the Olympics, that brings me very nicely onto John Emmett's Coaching Corner. And everyone talks about the results. That's the thing people remember, 12 years later, who took what medal. But results, and I'll talk about this right at the end, is the least important thing for you to worry about. Yeah, it's what everybody wants, but it's the thing you have least control over. And by definition, there's no point in worrying about things which are beyond your control, because they're beyond your control. In fact, in sailing, they're the thing which is most beyond your control. And that's why different types of sailing have a huge difference in the techniques. If you have a 50-minute race where there's 40 other fast boats like Gold Fleet Racing at Ilka Worlds, etc., it's quite a different skill to sailing at your home club or even domestic events where there's 2 or 3 fast sailors in your class in a field of 40. The whole risk reward thing really changes. So my message for today is actually to stop looking at the results or stop worrying about the results. I mean, check they're correct, or get better still, if you have a coach, get them to check the results correct, but focus on your controllables. And the key message is, if you put in the effort, then the results will take care of themselves. Have a great show, everybody. Very happy to answer any questions on my opinions, and hope everybody has a wonderful weekend.
John Emmett, the Coaching Corner, he's got comments. He's commenting while he's doing his video. And domestic trials are not a good idea because the Olympics is not a domestic event, Julia. I don't know. I'm not sure that he understands what it's like to try to choose an Olympic team in this country with some success. But okay, I'll beg to differ with him on a couple points, but that's what we love about the FOSI. That's what we love about this show. It's what we love about John, is we all like to get on here, express our opinion. We're going to come up with some opinions coming up here, too.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Oh, yeah, we got some hot topics now. Thank you, John Emmett. I throw my arms up in the air when John said that, and he said it for my benefit. Of course, I am a dinosaur. I'm the first one to admit it. And that's what he's talking about, was my comments on the show, and you did too. That's why I cut the camera too, to show you your reaction and mine. Kite boat racing foiling is coming with and without foils. Well, I think kiting is done, frankly. I think. Do you? Yeah, I think they're going to go to the handheld. Remember we were talking about that at dinner the other night over at San Francisco Yacht Club. The kites. There's a couple problems with the kites. From a television standpoint, which, by the way, we're getting no more television than we ever did. is, and we won't. You got the rider. They don't even call them sailors. The rider, and you can see the bottom of the board, and their hands on something. And to the uninitiated, to the non-sailor, they don't know what that is, and they don't realize that there's a kite way up in the air. So you're not even seeing the whole vehicle. You're not seeing the player, the sailor, the athlete, and their whole thing. You're only seeing in most of these shots, if you really want to see. And if you take a shot, television or otherwise, of the whole vehicle, the whole, why am I calling it a vehicle? That's because it's not a sailboat. Of the whole vehicle, you're not going to see the sailor. So I think you're going to have the wing foils handheld. That's going to be the thing.
I was looking at the last regatta that we just saw that had of the kites.
Yeah. Formula kites.
Formula kites.
The worlds, Well, it's, it looks good, but so does what we're saying. So do starboats, so do lasers, so do so do fins.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Okay. There's some disagreement. Our good friend Peter Stevenson, who donated this this very much appreciated board here for the Croutonic Corner. I've got my television remote here on top of the plot bar. Somebody asked us at dinner the other night, they saw this on the show, they said, are these sponsors? Are we giving sponsor visibility? And no, none of these are sponsors. No. Not the World Match Racing Tour, not Yacht Club Vodka. This is a gift. These are all gifts from FOSI, including Pedro, Foiling Sailors, Peter Stevenson's Croutonic Corner. And it's kind of outgrown it, Peter. We need another one. Get us a bigger one. Chris Exley is making exactly the right comment. It'll be interesting to see whether folks like Daniela Moreau's transition to wing foils. I think they will. I think that's what's coming after foiling kites, Peter Stevenson, with all due respect. Alistair Murray saying, agree that wing foil likely to take over from kites. Way less problematic. I think President Murray is spot on. Ted Ryman saying the kites make for great TV when they take off to huge heights above the sea, which of course they don't in Olympic, maybe after they finish, to do a big show. Good point. Joe Cool, yes, wings are the thing, but kites are faster and jump higher. Wings are temporary. There is a new foil coming. Hold on to your seat. Okay.
All right.
John Hanfield up above that. Did it go off? Just the very top comment up there. In the increasing move in the IOC to get events that are for those with low attention spans, i.e. breakdancing. Yes, breaking they call it. They don't even call it breakdancing. It's called breaking. That's the new Olympic sport. Mm-hmm. Surfing and other events. If U.S. Sailing doesn't get its arse in gear, we will lose our voice at World Sailing, and we've already lost our voice at World Sailing. John Emmett, terrific report. As always, we appreciate your videos. For the coaching corner, John Emmett Sailing. Get to the front of the fleet. Check out his books, including his latest book. And I'll also say that, Julia, a kid that I grew up, he's 60-something. But we grew up as kids at Portage, our little club in Michigan, Portage Yacht Club. A guy called Rick Lyons, who has also won multiple North American championships, was the first winner of the National Junior Youth Single-Handed Championship in this country. He said, oh yeah, I know John Emmett. He watches the show. He's probably watching. If you're watching Rick Lyons in replay, he's working right now. He's probably watches in replay tonight. He said, I know John Emmett. I've read all his books.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if people realize what an influence and impact John has had on the sport, people young and old, all over.
And he does it consistently well, which I'm appreciative of.
Good point. I hope he makes it to the Olympics as a coach. If I'm not sure he's been taken up yet, but it's hopefully he will be in.
Did he make his own spot?
Not quite sure. Not yet. Not that I know, but he's ready and able and available as far as I know.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken Saban, who's in Toledo, Ohio, saying it's hot there. He says we're ready to get Memorial Day sailing. He said he's 73 years old and still run the forward end, the pointy end of a boat.
Good for him.
Joe Cool says we need a Tom bobblehead for your crouton corner. I'll buy one. Okay, Joe, well, if you buy us one and send it our way, we will use it. Okay, I got a got a text from the esteemed Vice Commodore of the New York Yacht Club just before we went to air, and she said, "I'll bet you I know what you're talking about today." And I said, "Yeah, but you know what? I'm not leading with it. I'm going to lead with Leonard because I think it's positive. We love personalities. We love people. We love to promote cool people in the sport, right, Julia?
Right.
And not talk about legal machinations." Ooh, I lost that middle syllable. Machinations.
Yes.
I need some coffee, Julia.
Well, have some.
Huh?
Have a little.
So I put for this segment, order in the court. Get your gavel out, bang it on the desk, order in the court. Because there have been two decisions, good decisions. A lot of you have heard that U.S. Sailing withdrew that wasn't exactly a decision, but by a decision by them to withdraw their lawsuit. We'll get into that in a moment. But do you remember this crouton?
Oh, yes.
Do you remember this crouton, Julia?
The non-sailing CEO?
No, that's the sailing president
Oh.
who had the non-sailing CEO with him, and they cozied up to each other, and they were going to run the sport and become big deals in the IOC, and use our sport as a launching pad to go to the IOC, and I don't know. And they're the ones who made that expensive move from Southampton into central London and almost did literally bankrupt World Sailing. This is Kim Anderson. There's your second clue.
Oh, yes.
It's not Bruce Willis, Jody Shields. John Emmett knew who it was. That is Kim Anderson, the former president. He was a one-term president, thank God, at World Sailing. And I got an email from our old friend, Mikkel Thomason.
Yes.
Earlier this week. Dear friends, at long last, justice prevailed. Mikkel's been following this for us, and he may come on. He's willing and able to come on the show Tuesday. We'll see if we can get him on. We want to try to get Hamish on, Hamish Ross, to come on and talk about what they did in it was in Finland, wasn't it? In Helsinki, where they did their classic yacht seminar.
Yeah.
I think that was in Helsinki. We're trying to get Hamish on one of these days, and sooner than later. And we're also going to try to get Richard Gladwell.
Oh, yes.
When President Biden goes up close to the mic and he says, "Richard Gladwell." He doesn't say that, but I try to get Richard on. After an ongoing legal battle, the High Court of Justice in London has finally concluded that the chairman of the Ethics Commission, Dieter Neupert, and Eng Ser Myong and Joseph Pla were not conflicted in the case against Kim had taken them to court. And taken against Kim Anderson for unauthorized having used the signatures of Scott Perry and Gary Jobson in a letter to some crouton named Tom Eamon of Sailing Illustrated. And you remember the case, Julia?
Yes.
We were sitting here one day, and I got out of the blue, got a letter from those two guys, Gary and Scott, an email saying, "Cease and desist, stop talking about World Sailing, you're not correct. And, your show is whatever I'd said about what was going on over there. Oh, it's wrong." Well, they'd had a meeting, they talked about it, and Gary, whom I now know, and the court has this court case has proven it, went away and said, "Well, let me go look at it and call Tom, he's an old friend, and see what's going on." And they came back, he and Scott Perry, who was the vice president in South America at the time.
Right.
They both looked at it and said, "Well, there's nothing untoward here, and certainly don't send this letter." Well, he did. He forged their signatures, the president did, on a letter, which was then emailed. He and the non-sailing CEO and emailed it to me. And I said on the show, we showed it on the show. It said, "Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, what is this?" Well, that was the undoing of Mr. Kim Anderson, ultimately, and ultimately the non-sailing CEO too. So then Kim's using World Sailing money, insurance money, then took these guys, because there was a whole proceeding in the Ethics Commission and God knows what else, and they all said, "Excuse me, you're wrong, Mr. Anderson. You can't be forging the signatures of your vice presidents." Okay, well, it's sorted out, finally. Thank you for that email, Mikkel Thomason. He sent along also the court decision in the High Court of Justice, the King's Bench Division in London. In bottom line, the London High Court ordered that the sanction decision is void, because they took a decision sanctioning these guys, and of no effect. So finally, the honor of the Ethics Commission and Josef Pla is restored. Dieter Neupert receives a cost contribution by direction of the court from World Sailing and is awarded the World Sailing Gold Medal.
Wow.
How's that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Good stuff. Have you guys talked about the 12-meter class Worlds that's about to start? No, we haven't, Mark Husted. That's in Europe this year, right? We have not. Fill us in by comment, and maybe we'll cover that as well. Ted Ryman, I just had to have a drink. Kim is back. Kim is back on SI.
Oh, my.
Rugby Andy's tool, John Hanfield is saying. Yeah. Sad, but finally, a happy resolution to this idiotic case. And, I
It's sad that these kinds of things have to go to court.
Well, it is, and it's sad that these people
And
get
expensive.
their ego all wrapped up
Yeah.
in this stuff. And may Mr. Anderson not rest in peace. He's, we don't wish anything bad on him other than now that he's away, go away and stay away. Don't come back and run for president again, God forbid. Hopefully that. Now, speaking of the other legal matter,
Yes.
in U.S. Sailing's federal lawsuit against Paul Card and America One Racing, we're pleased to report, as some of you will have read this week, that U.S. Sailing has dropped the federal lawsuit in settlement with Card and America One Racing. There was a long article written by the best newspaper, wire service journalist remaining in our sport, Bernie Wilson, our FOSI down in San Diego, writing for the Associated Press. He said, U.S. Sailing, a couple days ago, U.S. Sailing has been picked up by news. It's interesting when he writes something
Yes.
for the wire service, for the Associated Press, it's picked up all over the country. Washington Post,
Right.
every little newspaper, every rip and read radio station, it's all over the place, thanks to Bernie Wilson, our
Yes.
FOSI, who's been on this show probably a dozen times.
Yeah.
U.S. Sailing has settled its federal lawsuit against veteran sailor and executive Paul Card and the America One Racing Foundation, the sport's governing body. It was announced on Wednesday. They announced, in fact, U.S. Sailing announced it. Dropping the lawsuit removes a major distraction that had overshadowed the once dominant American squad that has won just one medal in the last
3 Olympics.
The governing body, which had been criticized by medalists, widely criticized, I would have added, by medalists Anna Tobias and J.J. Fetter for suing one of sailing's biggest financial supporters, meaning America One Racing, didn't release specifics of the settlement. In fact, it was a 2-paragraph statement. America One Racing said in a statement that no money changed, in a very, kind of almost a 2-sentence statement, no
Right.
money changed hands, and both parties agreed that all claims and to release all claims and established a mutual non-disparagement
That's interesting.
agreement.
Yeah.
No more S-fighting.
Right.
No more public name calling. Okay, Bernie went on to say that Tobias said she was so convinced that and listen, you can tell Bernie with appearing neutral here. You can tell what his thinking is and all this.
Yeah.
Tobias said, this is Anna Tunnicliffe, of course, as many of you will know her. Said she was so convinced that the U.S. team was on the right track under Card's leadership and America One's financial support that she gave up her job as coach for the ILCA 6 squad in the middle of the current quadrennium and tried to make the team. Although she lost at the trial, she said she wouldn't have gotten to the starting line without America One's support. Quote, the leadership change was a shock to many athletes, and the reasons for the organizational changes didn't ring true to many of us, she said. However, funding was a concern, so many chose to walk the path without rocking the boat, as it were, keeping a low profile during the resulting fallout, unquote, she wrote. In an embarrassment on the English Channel in 2012, the United States failed to win that was at Weymouth, 2012. The U.S. failed to win an Olympic sailing medal for the first time since the 1936 Berlin Games. How Bernie puts these facts together is just brilliant. San Diego's Caleb Payne won a bronze medal in Rio de Janeiro in 2016, not thanks to U.S. Sailing, thanks to his own efforts and support from New York Yacht Club and St. Francis Yacht Club in San Diego. But the Americans were shut out again 3 summers ago in Tokyo and have been overtaken by Britain on the sailing medals all-time table. That's Bernie Wilson writing in the Associated Press a couple days ago. Julia?
Wonderful.
Is that the end of this or not?
I think so. Everybody's tired of it.
Well, not me.
Really?
Not me. I'm not tired of it, and there are a lot of other people aren't tired of it because they know who pushed this.
Oh, yes.
The non-sailing CEO. This guy is a crouton. I'm sure he's got a heart of gold, but he needs to go. He's got to go, and so too do all the USSA board members who supported, and I changed the word from what I used on my Facebook page, supported this ludicrous lawsuit. The whole pack of them should go, and U.S. sailing must be reformed into the yacht racing powerhouse it once was, concerned mostly about yacht racing, about sailboat racing, and stop trying to be the AAA, the American Automobile Association. Stop trying to be the AAA of sailing. Stop trying to be the Department of Motor Vehicles, one stop all for everything to do with sailing, because what their raison d'etre has become is to get as many members as possible and as many services and as big a staff as possible and have the biggest budget so we can be a big deal. In the meantime, they are failing our beloved sport. The CEO has got to go. The sooner, the better.
And to prop up the volunteers.
Well, that's part of the restructuring.
Right.
Exactly right, Julia. It needs to go back to being run by the sailors and by the racing sailors and by the clubs in this country, which are the heart, and beyond, which are the heart. I mean, look at the way Alistair runs.
Yes.
He's not perfect. Australian sailing is not perfect. He goes around and meets with each of the state federations. He talks, as he did on this show the other day, about the great yacht clubs in Australia.
Right.
Excuse me. Julie Ahrens agrees the non-sailing CEO has got to go. Bill Canfield, now the stumbling block is out of the way. Who will lead the effort to fix it? Yeah, I know. And I said no to another group the other day. I'm too old. Julie and I are old. We're ready for the AARP. We're going to do their podcast.
Yeah.
No, we're not. Because we don't know anything about anything except a little bit about sailing. Joe Holtzman, he does not have a heart of gold, and he's got to go. Chris Exley, everybody's drinking. So we're going to change I hope you're going to change your drinking game. Do what you want. But the non-sailing CEO, see, he's already gone in my graphic. He's got to go. Now, I'm going to give you a one hears, and this will be the first place maybe that you've heard this, probably that you've heard this. You see this boat, Julia?
Yes.
One hears from a highly reliable source this week, between Tuesday's show and now,
Yes.
that the laser class is going to get eliminated after 50 years of that boat being a big deal. It's going to get eliminated from the games in favor of this one design moth called a switch. And if that happens, I will be disappointed. Here is a video I found this morning from Sail World and Yachts and Yachting that produced this from the RYA's Dinghy Show earlier this year.
I'm here with Simon Hiscox with the switch foiling dinghy at the RYA Dinghy and Watersport Show 2024. Simon, can you tell me a bit about this?
Yeah, well, it's brand new class, Mark. As you say, switch one design foiling boat. It's effective. I mean, the easiest way to describe it is it's a one design moth. I think it's also important to say that it's not a moth. Maybe there'll be a new hashtag, not a moth, in the media sphere in the near future. But it doesn't quite measure as a moth, but in all intents and purposes, it's the same size. So you take it as a one design version of a moth with the same sailing characteristics, and you're pretty close to describing what the switch is like.
The moth class, of course, is cutting edge development the entire time, which does make it hard to keep up, and is the idea of providing that thrill that you get from moth sailing, but on a platform that isn't going to go out of date continually.
Yeah, I think you've nailed nail on the head there. Yes, it's a snapshot of the current development in the moth class, which is a pretty state-of-the-art affair at the moment. And I think actually what's interesting, I think, is if I look back and where I started moth sailing over maybe 13 years ago now, like the Mach 2 was the prevalent design then. And I kind of think, well, if that had been frozen in time now, would it still be relevant? And I think it kind of would be. Yes, the moth would be significantly faster than that, but actually it would still provide a sailing characteristic that would be still really good fun. And with a one design element thrown in it, I think it would still be relevant now. So I think this has a long-term future. I see people, the Europe dinghy was once upon a time an international moth. You know, that's a state of how these things develop over time. But it's still a very successful one design. So I think with the class here, it's got a long future.
Are there any particular innovations on this which make it stand out?
If you didn't know anything about moths, there aren't any innovations, but it's taking the best of the innovations that the moth class has developed over the years and putting them together in a actually slightly simplified version. So perhaps the biggest innovation is how it simplified the best bits of the current state-of-the-art moth.
And is it also something which you can pack up quite neatly? Say you want to take it to an international event, pack it up into a box, ship it off and go and do that?
Yeah, for international shipping, even European national shipping for that matter, it all goes into a very small box. The wing frame all
Mark,
disassembles.
my words, you heard it here first.
Yes.
There is a big push from the progressive, left, radical element, the commercial interests who want to replace the laser because it's old and slow and tactical with something fast because it'll bring more excitement, more youth, more television.
Yes.
I'm telling you what, this will be yet another nail in the Olympic sailing coffin. It'll, as Hamish Ross just said, it'll remove sailing further from the experience of most people. Commercial interests, one hears, is pushing this. Let's go to the comments. Julie Aarons, yeah, it looks like a fun boat to sail. Sure, a lot of fun boats to sail. You could put AC-40s in the Olympics too. That's fun. Alistair says, I don't believe it. I hope you're right, Mr. President. I hope you and your federation are going to oppose it. Too many lasers out there, all countries sailing them, which is their biggest strength. That's what we thought about the Star. That's what we thought about the Finn. That's what we thought about other classes as well. I hope you are right. Maybe it'll replace the 470. There's another boat that is widely distributed, which is a great tactical boat, great for young people and older folks. David James, why do some people think faster boats make for better racing? In my experience, slow but pretty equal boats like Etchells is another great class, and Stars, and the Canards have the best racing. And Ken Saban checking in. I'm now a laser sailor. Yeah, okay. Simon Hiscox, yes, it was the gentleman promoting that boat. Stingray, any chance we could get a non-switching CEO? ILCA keeps small countries involved in the Olympic effort. Yes, Bill Canfield, that is a great strength as well of the laser class. And John Emmett says he'll stick a video out before the next show. Good, I hope so. Looks fun, looks cool. Jody Shields is saying, yes, it looks fun and cool, but is it good for the sport, Jody? James Frederick Bland, follow the money. The ILCA sailors were all cheering the Finn on its way, and now they get to eat crow. Tom Pace down in Pensacola, Florida, had a foiler like the Switch or Wasp, fine, but no to pulling the ILCA. Will be 158 entries at Wasp Worlds in Norway, so there's interest and sailors have both. Probably 10 times the cost of an ILCA, Chris Exley is speculating.
Oh.
Martin Nabinia, sailing is not for everyone anymore. Mark Husted, it's a design caught between a moth and a wasp. Yes, that is the Switch. No less than 3 times. Okay, the additional cost. Tom, bring back the Fireball. I used to sail Fireball is a great class, but the 470 is a great class too, and that has planted it, and it's popular, and it's widely distributed. Forget about foils, Pedro foiling sailor. Okay, man, the comments are coming in.
Yes.
Comments are coming in. I'm not going to go read all of them, but please, Julia, remind us.
Yes, don't forget to read them.
Go back and read the comments. Thanks to Sail World Yachts and Yachting for that video from the RYA Dinghy Show earlier this year.
John and Lily went sailing on a switch on Thursday.
John and Lily.
Yeah.
Yes. Are the manufacturers paying for it to be an Olympic class? Yes, they're behind the scenes. They are going to do that. They're going to push really hard to make it an Olympic class. I'll tell you one more thing I heard, Julia, that's disturbing.
Yes.
And that is that there is a push from the rights holder for the 49er and the 49er FX to further modify the 49er FX, to modernize that for the women, that's the skiff, so that everybody will have to buy a new hull and a new boat and maybe even a new rig for the 49er FX. The commercial interest, the sport is already too expensive, and when we change these classes, it just makes the sport that much more difficult, especially as President Canfield says, for the smaller countries.
Yes.
And it is, if they do that to the 49er FX, which is now well established, and it's okay, none of these classes is perfect. You could redesign everything, start from the scratch and start over. But commercial interests, you watch, mark my words, you heard it here first. Julia, anything else to add?
No, I don't know if there's much we can do about it.
Well, of course there is. Of course there is. We can start to jawbone here, jawbone on this show and get people's awareness, raise awareness and get people talking and thinking about it, get John Emmett to do a video about it. And Jody says we have to be realistic. The Olympics are heading into short, sharp, quick sports that are easy to broadcast races in a short time frame. Why do you think the 100-meter sprint is so popular? I don't buy that, Jody. Golf hasn't changed. Tennis hasn't changed. The 100-meter sprint has not changed, whether it's short or not. There are other events which are long and laborious, like the marathon, Jody, which has been around since day one, and it persists. They've modified it so that it starts and then runs into the stadium at the finish. So I don't buy that short and sharp is necessarily the answer. I would have thought that the cost of the boat itself is a rounding error in an Olympic campaign. Okay, well, that may be true too, David James. Okay, you heard it here first. Speaking of history, what happened, Julia, on this day in history? 1844, 7 years before the first AC0, the start of the America's Cup. Huh?
Well,
huh?
I know.
I sound like I'm from Michigan. No offense to anybody who is from Michigan. Here's your first clue. New York Yacht Club was formed. No. The marathon is my favorite event in the whole Olympics. Alistair Murray is saying the Brooklyn Bridge opened. Maybe you guys are Googling this stuff. You probably know. You probably know. I'm getting the New York, while you're looking this up, I'm getting the New York Yacht Club handbook, the yearbook out that's behind me. Was New York, was it 1844? Well, what happened? What's this device? Ryman's got it. Linotype. It does look a little bit like a printing machine. Ted Ryman has got it. The telegraph. The electric chair, Stingray is saying. The elevator, Gordon Smith. Those are all good guesses. The first telegram. David James, even more specifically, he's up above there in the comments, and he is even more accurate than the first telegraph, but it was the first, not telegram per se like Western Union, but this is what happened. Is this gentleman, Julie, you know who that is? And for extra credit, do you know what his middle initials stand for?
I used to know.
Samuel F.B. Morse.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what he was in real life? He was a painter. He was a Calvinist. He was a kind of a son of a preacher man, and and a bit of a preacher himself and a famously good portrait painter.
I didn't know that.
And he went to Europe to learn to do his painting better, apparently, and meet other painters.
Yeah.
And there he started crossing paths with people who were experimenting with electricity and electromagnetism. And the interesting, the kind of multifaceted Renaissance man that apparently he was, came back and said, well, maybe I can invent a single wire device to send messages, which became the telegraph. And of course, he also invented the Morse code. There's an American version of this, and there is a European version of the I guess it was a European version. I don't know who adopted which where, but bloody hell, I remember in my young days learning Morse code. I couldn't, I could do CQ and I can do ABC and a couple others, but I've forgotten it all because why would you know it?
SOS is the only thing you really need
Well,
to know.
or SOS. Did-it, da-da-da, did-it. Did I do too many dits the first time? Did-it, da-da-da, did-it. Or CQ, da-da-da-dit, da-da-da-da, which is,
What's
does anyone
CQ?
hear me? CQ, does anyone hear me?
I didn't-
Calling all, that's kind of a, hi, I'm here online. What are you wearing? Not really.
No.
That was a joke, Julia. So on May 24th, on this day in history, 1844, the line was officially opened as Morse. Samuel F.B. Morse sent the now famous words.
What hath God wrought?
Exactly. From the Supreme Court chamber in the basement of the U.S. Capitol building in D.C. up to Baltimore, to the B&O Montclair station in Baltimore, Annie Ellsworth chose those words from the Bible. Her father, U.S. Patent Commissioner Henry Leavitt Ellsworth, had championed Morse's invention and secured early funding. It was apparently a senator from Maine who backed him. His telegraph could transmit 30 characters per minute.
Wow.
That is not very fast. That device we showed you, it was not very fast, but it went by single wire. They figured out how to use the earth, as you Brits would say, the earth, we'd say the ground. How do you have a single wire? And then Morse also figured out how to have repeaters and relay stations. And of course, they started stringing telegraphs along railroad in the easements, the corridors occupied by railroad lines, and started sending telegraphs between cities via basically the railroad.
Yeah.
Samuel F.B. Morse sent the first telegraph message. We'll give David James the credit, I think, for that one. First telegraph message, 1844, taps out, what hath God wrought? What hath God wrought? Is the telegraph not how Reuters built his business? I don't know. Faster than a rider on a horse, that's for sure, Hamish. They had races, didn't they, between telegraphs and riders and pony expresses? And I don't know. Hamish would know that. Hamish, before you come on the show next time, do that research so you can fill us in on the history of the Pony Express and the telegraph and sending mail. And now we snail mail, and now we use electronic mail, email. Julia.
Yes.
Bloody hell, let's wrap. We're an hour and 13 minutes into what I was going to be a short show, and now we're getting just to more interesting topics, including especially the America's Cup. This is our AC-37 Cup date. I was going to tell you, as I did over at San Francisco Yacht Club the other night, who I think is going to win, but I'm going to save that for Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm going to give my prediction for who I think is going to win the Cup.
And that
at
everybody
least
else.
Categorically.
Yes.
In the different sense of that word, and let everybody think about it until Tuesday, and we'll give you my prediction on Tuesday. In the meantime, Stingray, Bravo Zulu to Stingray, who tipped me off, and we've been saying this on this show for some time, and nobody else really wanted to believe that it was true, especially people supporting Emirates Team New Zealand, because they have put their boat, their AC-75, on a ship called Baltic Spring, in Tauranga. You don't pronounce the hard G, up there, the big port up in north of Auckland, and it's headed for Tarragona, which is the big port south of Barcelona. And Julie Aaron says, is there any question who's going to win? And Stingray, as usual, figured this out. Thanks to him, There's where Tarragona is. He figured out some weeks ago what ship it was going to be, and that it was a kiwi fruit carrier in every sense of the word, and it turns out to be true. And how do we know that? Because Emirates Team New Zealand has released a video.
It may be traveling on deck.
You think?
Maybe so.
You're about to see. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
We're into the last 6 months prior to the America's Cup. We've launched our yacht in New Zealand, Kaihoro. Barcelona's our next stop. When we get there, we're hitting the ground running, hopefully. It's a massive logistical program to get everything in place. The 40s are out on the water, the guys will be working through and to keep that going. When you see the team and how it focuses on this, we've still got design works going on upstairs. The boat yard's still busy with projects. You know, it's really intense, but it's what we're all here for. We love it.
Nice and early down here in Tauranga. We got Taihoro and Chase 1 down here ready to go on the ship today. We got Taihoro going in sideways and then spinning around and going onto the deck of the kiwi fruit ship.
I think we just need to be a little. What I think about that way is Taihoro and Chase 1 is now on board, just down to these final lashings. So, yeah, it might be long now and she'll be off to Europe.
Try to make that at least messy.
There's your answer. Deck cargo, along with the chase boat and a couple other things.
I was married to somebody who did that all the time.
Well, you were married to the famous Conrad.
Yeah, I know, but and for Hamburg Süd, and he actually helped a lot of boats from many places go from place to place.
He was a good man, your
He
late
was.
great husband.
He was.
And we now know for sure Stingray was right, because at the end of that, they barely showed it, at the very end of that video, and this is a screen grab I took from that video.
Sorry.
Screen grab, you okay?
Yeah.
Screen grab from that video of the ship, the Baltic Spring. Stingray, Bravo Zulu, you were right. And now the speculation as to whether the ship is going east or west, Julia. Which way is it going?
We already know that it's going.
Well, we know because we didn't put it in the show yet. So this is new news. Where is it headed next? Stingray has figured this out too. It says 1 minute ago. That's a screen grab from a couple days ago. And that was the question we've been asking. And how many days will it take? Yes, we're now ship spotters, training to win, as Emmett's saying. This is Ship Spotting Illustrated. They are, well, it's interesting, John, because those who are big cup aficionados, not that you're not, but it's a big deal because this is a huge risk. And in fact, Stingray was also right. We suspect, and I was too, actually, I think I may have told Stingray, they got to go through the Panama Canal. They're not going to go west across the Southern Ocean. Again, let's go back a slide. They're not going to go west across the Southern Ocean, below Australia and below Ted Ryman in Cape of Good Hope. They're not going to do that. It's the wind. They're going against them. That would be ridiculous. And Ted Ryman said, no, they're going to go through the Suez Canal. We said, no, you sure, Ted? I don't think so. I think they're going to go up through the Panama Canal. Yes, there is some congestion up there. And sure enough, Stingray, I almost said your real name. Stingray came up with this graphic a few days ago saying that the ship when it departed, is headed for Balboa, not to be confused with Balboa Yacht Club or any other here in the Western Hemisphere named Balboa. There's one place in particular down near Panama that Balboa is the place to which ships go when they are going to enter the canal from the, what do you call it, Julia? Is that the western end or the southern end?
West.
The western end. I think that's right. The western end of the Panama Canal. And sure enough, that is where Balboa is, and that is to where that good ship is headed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many days they have to wait there, it remains to be seen. There are many ships waiting to go through the Panama. Ted Ryman is pointing out will be waiting for days to get through. They're not even expected there for another week. The Pacific end, thank you, James Frederick Bland. That's the Pacific side of the end of the canal.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be interesting to see how long they have to wait. The video says, and other media reports have said, now that they're packed up, ETNZ is reporting they will hopefully be sailing by July 1st. They're going to miss the entire month of June. The entire month of June, Julia.
Going through the Panama Canal is a great experience.
Have you been through it on a ship?
Several times, actually.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish them a great experience. I do not wish them any trouble. I think they've made a big mistake by, as I've been saying since day one, that they made a big mistake by running the Cup not in their home waters.
Yes.
And this could be this could add fuel to that fire. Hopefully there's not another FUBAR that blocks the channel like last year's effort. Yeah, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
FUBAR, F-U-B-A-R, Jody. Fudged up beyond all recognition, FUBAR. They can stock up on cigars in Balboa, Graham Sweeney.
Yeah.
So that's the latest news. Bravo Zulu to Stingray. He got it right. We got it right. How in God's name does ETNZ not have the funds? It's $3 million, Peter Taylor, to fly the yacht. They control all of the revenue. This strategy is croutonic.
Yes.
Could turn out to be. Julie Ahrens, who, of course, the big supporter on the other side, saying, give up the ghost, Tom. We shall see. The cheap man always pays twice. I hear they're having financial problems. I hear it's times are. Now, to be fair, Grant Dalton has also been able to squeeze blood out of a turnip, and he's done a very good job with budgets. But let's just see how they do. And see this, Ted Ryman, there's a very interesting Bloomberg article. Panama Canal queue jumper pays record $4 million to skip the line.
Woo!
Meanwhile, everyone else is developing their AC-75s in Barcelona. Yeah, I think even the French are there now, aren't they, Stingray? Alistair Murray couldn't agree more, Tom. They should have found a way to keep the Cup in New Zealand. I think this could be a very difficult and costly sojourn, for lack of a better word. Okay, we'll see. Now, there's some more Cup news that you may not have seen. Just came out earlier today. This courtesy of Richard Gladwell, which is why I'd like to get him back on the show, because he's doing a good job with his so-called Cup spy articles, not to be confused with the recon program that Sir Ben Ainslie criticized mildly, politely, earlier this week. But in his reporting, a reportage for the last couple of days, Richard is saying that debris in the Cup venue has caused at least one AC-75 to suffer damage.
Uh-oh.
And that would be a Lingy. And there they are, their diver down, now back up, having checked on the rudder, and that caused them to end their sailing that day. Two teams sailing AC-75s, Richard reports, Richard Gladwell, our FOSI, are believed to have struck UFOs, unidentified floating objects, over the past couple of days. This has been Wednesday, Thursday, forcing them to stop sailing. When Lingy Red Bull Racing was hauled, its rudder appeared to have suffered damage to the starboard side. On Wednesday, Ineos Britannia also stopped sailing suddenly towards the end of the session and went under tow back to base. The recon team, that is the ACE, America's Cup Events, recon team noticed floating logs in the vicinity of the British boat, but no damage was seen when the AC-75 was hauled. Yeah, where's Magnus in his pithy commentary? Was he paid to keep? Oh, he's probably back in London, getting ready to move there permanently. We'll see. Later, the recon team were advised that the Brits would not be sailing until Monday, this coming Monday, in the following week, when originally they were due to sail on the next day, Thursday. No reason was given for the delay, which may have been for a completely unrelated issue. Also, New York Yacht Club's American Magic. On Wednesday, the ACE Recon team following American Magic saw one of their coach ribs towing the semi-submerged branch of a tree, and there may have been other similar debris, as some of you would pronounce it, in the training area. So writes our FOSI Richard Gladwell, the New Zealand editor of Sail-World, the esteemed New Zealand editor of sail-world.com. So, Julia, what do you think of all that?
It raises the story possibilities.
It does. It does. So I hope, I wouldn't wish that on anybody now or during the Cup or any time between. So let's hope that doesn't happen. On 12 meter or an IACC would have shrugged that off. Yes,
Yeah.
true. Or a sunfish. Some one of you saying they run into a sunfish, or maybe an orca. Where are the orcas now? Maybe the orcas will come swinging up. Not likely. A new AC role, the race area mine, not the minesweeper, the log sweeper, the debris sweeper.
Well, it's not a bad idea.
Okay, now I can't do the show without mentioning what has become a big controversy this week. Sailing Anarchy was not very nice. A lot of you saw this new trophy and pronounced it Croutonic and worse, so we do a Jody Shields. Correct or Croutonic? This is the new trophy for the Women's America's Cup, the Pooch Women's America's Cup. And why it was, when they sent the pictures out, why was it sent tilted like this? I think you'll see in a minute.
So I could see inside.
They could, exactly, right on, Julia, so they could see the redness inside. Well, this thing has been compared, I'm not even going to, some of them really impolite and Croutonic even comparisons, but this thing, to see the photos they sent out, you'd have to wonder, is this, yeah, it was Chris actually saying, is it lipstick? I'll tell you what somebody said. They thought it would look like a tampon. And it goes downhill from there. So there it is. There is the trophy. And the way they sent these pictures out and announced the Pooch Women's America's Cup trophy, it was presented on the 22nd, so 2 days ago, in Barcelona. Ed Worley thinks it looks like a computer cable connector, cupcake foils, J. Frederick Bland is saying, and as I said, and worse. So there it is. And there is the verbiage that went with it, the trophy from their release on Wednesday. It was Wednesday. For the inaugural Pooch Women's America's Cup was presented this morning by Pooch at the Fundacio, which is a museum foundation, Juan Miró, the famous Spanish painter. The Spanish architect and designer Patricia Urquiola was commissioned to design and shape the trophy that the winning team of the Pooch Women's America's Cup will receive on 13 October. For this, Urquiola has used, quote, a simple geometric figure like a cylinder without decorative elements or a base, which at one point opens up like a large sail struck by the wind, Julia. A large sail struck by the wind. Do you see that in that device? Huh?
No.
Made of silver with a height of 58 centimeters and weighing about 5 kilograms, its interior hides a rose gold effect. The finishing has been done by means of an exhaustive chiseling in the widest part, they call it a cylinder, of the cylinder. Unlike the original America's Cup trophy designed by Edmund Cotterill and crafted by Robert Gerard, and that you would say if you're a Brit, in 1848, the Pooch Women's America's Cup lacks handles so that, quote, the winning team can embrace it in its full form, unquote. According to, look at the look on your face. You click your teeth and do that again. I need, an instant replay. The winning team can embrace it in its full form, according to the designer. There it is. Shown, that was the picture they sent out.
Well,
Jordan Smith likes it. Somebody bit the top of a magic mushroom, Graham Sweeney says.
Well, it is an interesting shape. It's not boring.
Yeah.
Um,
John Hanfield, looks like something in my ex-wife's bedside table. That's not. That may deserve a wag, Julia.
yeah.
I even have a sound effect for that wag. Oh, man. In a world of everything, this trophy is marginal at best, Jody Shields says. Well, I don't know what you all think, but I ask you, is it correct or is it crutonic?
If it were given to each participant as a goblet,
A keeper trophy?
yeah, as a goblet and smaller, it might be interesting. But
Bill Haynes maybe I'm not going to read his comment, but you can give it another finger wag, Julia.
I saw a finger wag.
You see his? It looks
Yeah,
like
I did.
It looks like
I saw it earlier.
a pocket poussée is what some people would call a male masturbator. William Haynes. Shame on you, Bill. It's so funny. Does it vibrate? Oh, my goodness, Julia.
No.
They're coming now. Does it vibrate? Is it a fleshlight? Okay. James Frederick. It's hideous, Ted Ryman says. Looks like a cotton tip, Jody Shields says. Wag with the sound effect. Yay! Like most things sailing these days, there is very little semblance to sailing crutonic with two ends, Fritz Mueller say. Looks like a lipstick tube. Not sure I like it, Julie Aaron says. I don't always agree with everything AC 37 chooses. Ed Worley says it's crutonic, not classic or not ornate, not related to yachting theme. Okay. Now I want you all to consider a little bit. I have not said what I think, and I will in a moment, but just have a look here. What is that? Who is that, Julia? Graham Sweeney's totally crutonic, looks like one of those exhaust pipes on a rapper's ride. Probably what Ryman thinks too. Mark Husted, I actually didn't know what it was when I first saw it. I thought it was a Facebook joke. That's the sad part of it. Hamish Ross, the Dr. Hamish Ross, and they're all coming up. Now that, of course, is one of the most famous Spanish painters. He's from Barcelona. He lived 1893 to 1983. So almost 100 years, 90 years. That's Juan Miró. And he painted over the course of 1924 to 25 the Harlequin Carnival. That's that famous painting. Peter Taylor knew it. No, it's not Dali. Close, Ted Ryman. Good guess. At least he didn't Google it. And that is that famous painting from that era 100 years ago, exactly 100 years ago, by Juan Miró. There's another famous Spanish painting from a little bit later. That's from 1931. And yes, Ted Ryman, that is a Dali.
That is Dali.
Dali. I don't think there's an accent on the I. The Persistence of Memory is that painting. Again, one of the most famous Spanish painters, one of the most famous ever Spanish painting. And Dali lived from 1904 until fairly recently. I think as an older person I can say that, until 1989. Not worth of the money and talent to earn it, Fritz Mueller's saying. Must run by Alistair off to, we're going to AAAA on Tuesday's show, by the way. Don't miss it. Banksy, Graham Sweeney saying, no, Dali. Most of you got it. It's Dali. The Dali, the trophy looks like it come off the bow of the Dali. Jody is clever. I just want you to put all this in perspective. In Spain and Spanish architecture, you know, we having lived there, my wife Leslie and daughter Meg and I lived there almost 10 years. So we have a bit of an appreciation for Spanish art and culture. Pedro Farthing Sailor making a joke. And of course, the most famous artist probably, and probably his most famous painting is this one, Julia, which is?
Picasso.
Picasso, and what's the name of the painting?
Yeah, Guernica.
J. Frederick Bland got it. You got it. It's Picasso's Guernica from 1937, the painting of the Spanish, representing the Spanish Civil War. Guernica. I've got some prints from several of these gentlemen here in the Beach Street Yacht Club, actually. Picasso, Picasso, everybody's got it. Now for extra credit, what is that?
That's the cathedral.
That is the Basilica.
Basilica. Yeah.
That is the Basilica, the Sagrada Familia, not yet completed, begun in 1882, still under construction.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Antoni Gaudí took it over after it was conceived and construction began and made it his life's work. From 1852 was when he was born a year after AC0. And then in the late 1800s, he took it over and ran it till his death as the architect and engineer even until 1926 when he died. And it is still to this day under construction. And if you've not been in it, it is fabulous. And if you go there for the cup or otherwise, when you go there, Julie Ahrens, I hope you will go if you haven't already been in it. By all means, go have a look, but it is a fabulous thing.
It is.
Now, Julie,
yes,
for the reveal of whether this thing is correct or crutonic. I think a lot of you are going to be surprised by this next image when I show you the trophy next to some human beings. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is not tiny. It is not the size of a Tampax or a little.
It does make a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's the size of and bigger than a human's torso. It's from the waist up.
Yep.
Look at it there next to Mr. Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
It's a proper trophy.
Yes.
And there on the plinth, if that's the right word, I didn't go to Stanford, Julia, but is that a plinth?
I don't know.
It's a plinth.
Yeah.
A stand.
Yeah.
It's a plinth. It's magnificent looking.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they didn't, maybe they did send this picture out, but as an afterthought.
Makes a lot of difference.
It makes a huge difference. It looks like a proper and cool trophy. 5 kilograms, 11 pounds. Peter Taylor agrees it's a plinth.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it in the picture they sent out, okay, angled as you correctly pointed out, Julia, to show the red insides of the trophy. You can barely see it there around the top, the lip of that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a proper trophy to me. Ryman still doesn't like it. When you see it from this angle, it's very cool. I agree, Julie Ahrens. So what many of us thought when we first saw it was not correct.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, worse, that it was crutonic. Having seen that picture, I now think it's correct.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fantastic trophy. And that's before you consider the Spanish history and heritage and this company Puig, which is a modern day fashion. It's a very high-end kind of a Gucci/Prada Spanish fashion house, and they have a bunch of brands. And I rather like it myself. And one person's art is another person's, what's the word? What's the expression? What's the phrase? Crutonicism.
Yes.
So I don't know how you feel about it now, Julia, but I
like it. It's in its full size. It is different.
I agree. Chris actually says, not sure if it will stand the test of time as winners get engraved on it over the years. Rose gold is not naphthol red. Yeah, that's a point too. And Gordon Smith is the only one who first time through I did say I liked it. Great taste takes breeding and education.
Oh, he's right. He's right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I had the advantage. I didn't like it at first, but once I saw it on the plinth
Mm-hmm.
and realized the scope and the scale of the thing, I think it may be correct. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see if it stands the test of time. Okay, now we've beaten that one to death, which brings us to Ed Worley's. This is a very clever historic challenge that Ed has brought to us today. Here is his latest, Ed Worley's America's Cup History Challenge at our FOSI down in SoCal. And just before we go to it, we'll listen to his music because it kind of chimes in here, no pun intended. Spanish art is more modern and untraditional, so we are just not used to it. That was kind of my point, Julie, without saying it in so few words, good point, of running all those others. I'd like to see it in the CYCA in a few months' time, Jody is saying, in the Cruising Yacht Club. I hope
Yeah.
I would be happy if our FOSI Olivia Price won it.
That, yes.
Just wait until the winning woman drops it and lands on the edge of the Ripley pit. Okay, back to Ed Worley's America's Cup History Challenge. We haven't had one for a while, but he sent this one in overnight. Julia, there's your first clue about the question. See if anybody knows what that is, and from that can glean the question and maybe even the answer, if anybody is that smart. There's Tom Fishbeck coming to wish us all a happy, long Memorial Day weekend. Thank you.
It's MGM from a movie I've never seen and don't know.
You're half right. It's MGM, which in those days also produced songs. So it's not a movie. What does that thing, what is it? Do you have any idea? Does any of the FOSI have any idea what that is? Remember the song. Okay, I don't see, everybody's stumped. Ed Worley, you've stumped everybody. Uh-oh, Bill Haynes got it. That's the Purple People Eater.
Of course.
Of course. Now you know. I had no idea what it was. I don't ever remember that. Julie Aaron's got it. Chris Exley's got it. The Purple People Eater.
I never saw it before.
Does anybody have any, having said that, okay, now I've given you away the question. Purple People, okay, they've all got it now. They're all cornucopia coming from his head. David James, God, he went to Stanford too. He's so smart. So here's the question. Sailors in the America's Cup have invented some strange names for the yachts and equipment created in the quest to win. What was the Purple People Eater in the history of the America's Cup? Julie, any idea?
I don't know.
One-eyed, one-horned Purple People Eater, James Frederick. Any idea? I'll pause here just for the cause to see if we get any comments up.
I can't think of anything purple.
Okay, we'll give you some hints then. Here we go. There are some hints, A, B, C, and D. Does that help anybody before I tell you what they are? Alan Long got a weekend plus 1 day of racing at Mentor Harbor Yacht Club. Off to the club. Have a great weekend, Alan, in Cleveland, Ohio. My wife has one of those in her bedside table of Purple People. James Frederick Bland, now recognizing that it must be from the 50s. Now was it 92? No, J. Frederick Bland, Boomer Bland's got it. So he's narrowed it down to the 50s. Now, which of those photos is from the 50s? Ryman thinks it's D because they're purple. Okay, here are your clues. A is these are the multiple choices. The giant Herbelot, which is a French yacht designer, he would design sails as well. The giant Herbelot spinnaker used by Scepter, the British challenger in the 58 Cup. Big spinnaker. Hamish Ross thinks that's what it was. He thinks it's A. He's going to... David James thinks it's B, a light air mainsail for Columbia, USA in 58. He may have Googled that. Admit it if you did. J. Frederick Bland thinks it's B. Gordon Smith's on A. C, a secret coating on the hull of French Kiss in Fremantle in 1987. It does look a little purplish. I don't know if Ed, I didn't retouch the photo. I don't know if Ed tinted that photo. Or D, Ted Ryman's Prada America's Cup boat shoes in the 2007 Cup when Shosholoza was there in Valencia. A, B, C, or D, Julia?
I don't know.
The rest of the FOSI, what do you think? Did anybody Google it? The Purple People Eater. Exley says A, Smith says A. Because of the 50s. Well, B could be the 50s, too, if you believe that it was from the 50s.
David James says it's the Columbia mainsail.
Yeah, that would be B. I'm still wondering what the America's Cup trophy, the women's AC trophy is. Okay, David James has the answer. There it is. The answer is B. And your answer is that the Purple People Eater was a special light air Ratsey and Lapthorne. You know that sail-making company is still going strong. They've been going since the 1840s, I think. Mainsail, used by Columbia in the 58 Cup defense. It was made from Defenders, which is a sailcloth maker, like Bainbridge. Defenders 13.75 ounce purple Vectus sailcloth that had a purple tint. Designed for winds of less than 12 knots. Can we please know that in meters per second or kilometers per hour to keep the Sail GP people happy? You smile at least at that. That purple Vectus sailcloth mainsail helped Columbia prevail in the light air races of the 17th Defense, 1958. The purple people eater. Now for extra credit, what was the original purple people eater? By Fritz Mueller. What was the original? I already said it. I said it at the top almost. It was a song. The Purple People Eater is a novelty song written and performed by somebody I've never heard. Have you heard of Sheb Woolley?
I bet I remember the song.
You do. I do too, sort of. Which reached number 1 in the Billboard pop charts in 58 from July 9th to July 14th. Number 1 in Canada and reached number 12 overall in the UK singles chart. And even topped the Australian chart. Peter Taylor says Ratsey was a relative of his. Yeah, the sail-making companies in City Island, Bronx, for many, many years. They're still, I think, making sails in the Isle of Wight, if I'm not mistaken. Sail off. Yeah, the world oldest, there was a comment by Gordon Smith, the world's oldest still producing sail off in Cowes, in the Isle of Wight. They just made the mainsail for Tally Ho. Interesting. So this was a song, that all courtesy, we dragged that out a bit, of Ed Worley's AC History Challenge. Ed, I embellished that a bit. As you can see, I hope you approved. Which gets us to the final leg. And on the theme of the Women's America's Cup and Canada and the Sail GP coming up there next weekend, I thought we should celebrate the Canadian Women's America's Cup team, who've put out quite a cool video of late and also about their youth as well. Roll tape.
We're sailing to finally open a whole new trophy for the Women's America's Cup. It really is historical. This is the first time that Canadian sailing has had true corporate sponsorship.
My proudest sailing moment to date has definitely been qualifying for the Paris 2024 Olympics. Having a team in the America's Cup is the pinnacle of the sport, and it's incredibly exciting and a huge honor to have Canada on the start line.
It's quite a different process preparing to sail in the AC40. There's a lot more going on in the boat, and obviously the systems are very different, being completely electronic. And obviously the use of the simulator, which has such a huge impact on our progression.
Preparing for this America's Cup means a lot of time in a simulator, on land in a dark room.
Once we get on the water, we'll feel like fully prepared to sail fast around a course. The biggest role model in my life for sure was my dad. He definitely inspired me to pursue sailing and was always very supportive in anything that I did.
I'm very excited to be part of the Concord Pacific Racing Squad. It's going to be a great group of people, a well-supported team, and I think we have everything we need to succeed.
I think me being a part of it is showing that there are opportunities for sailors in different classes to participate in this high level.
I think this opportunity is good for broadening the scope of Canadian sailing, and it's a big thing for Canada to do on a big stage in sailing.
To finally see Canada racing and competing in the Youth America's Cup arena is a huge win for the future development in the sport, and for Canada to be on the starting line of the first ever Women's America's Cup, it really is historical. And thinking about what makes me proud to be Canadian, being part of this really aligns with that, and I think Canada is definitely a country that's going to keep pushing and driving for more change in the sport and keep pushing to open more doors for sailors.
Speaking of the Sagrada Familia, they must have been training in Barcelona.
Yeah,
You see
like,
that?
that was a good picture.
In the background.
Yeah.
Wasn't that nicely produced?
Yes.
Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo Zulu to them and to Concord Pacific, whoever the hell they are. I don't know who they are. I should have looked them up. But and their other sponsors. I look forward to them having a good go in Barcelona. That is the Canucks, the Canadians. I can say that. My wife is Canadian, and I will not tell the joke, Julia. The hockey joke.
Yes.
I told the other night, though, over at San Francisco Yacht Club when I did the America's Cup talk. By the way, I've been asked by several since then, well, will you come to our club and do it? I'll come to some within reason. I mean, we're busy doing this show. It takes, it's kind of full-time almost putting this show together and doing it twice a week. But if a club really wants a cup date, let me know. And we'll see if we can fit it into the schedule. But it was fun. It was a nice turnout.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I must say, there is not, at least here in the Bay Area, like it was a hardcore lot.
Mm-hmm.
And people are, okay, the cup's not here. There's nobody locally involved in it of which they are aware. New York Yacht Club is far away on the East Coast. And there is just not much interest in the cup. Is the perception I get here, at least locally in the Bay Area, and I think up and down the California coast anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk to people in San Diego and Newport Beach and Long Beach and so on.
It's long. It seems a long way away.
Well,
is it this year?
Yes, exactly. But if somebody wants a cup date, let me know, and we'll see if we can. It was fun. I got a nice slideshow put together, brand new, fresh, and we'll keep updating it as we go forward. Bravo Zulu to them.
And you've had a lot of practice.
Well, I've done I was thinking about how many hundreds of those shows I've done over the years.
It was well done though. It was fun.
It was fun. It was nice to have you there too. And I told they wanted to know about crouton because I used the word. I can't help myself. I used it. And I said it is a mild pejorative that I learned from hockey players that had come down from Montreal, from Canada, to play hockey at the University of Michigan when I was involved. And you crouton, they were calling each other. What the hell are they calling each other? Crouton. It's a mild pejorative because, you can squeeze the crouton. And it's just nothing but air and crumbs and maybe a touch of garlic, which you may or may which you may or may not like. Yeah. Okay, we're to the D block and to, thankfully, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, Julia. I've only got a couple. These people must be taking the week off because I didn't get sent very many jokes. One came, from Martha Peterson. I thought you would enjoy this. Bar, B-A-R and B-R-A, not to be Barbuda and Brazil, the Olympic codes, are same letters, different words, but both keep men eagerly waiting till they open.
Yes.
Our fellow St. Francis Yacht Club member, she must be 85 too, isn't she?
Oh, it must be. Yeah.
Huh? And she's got the best joke email chain, thread chain. She sends these jokes around. Some of them, I can't, I'll tell you, Pedro Foiling Sailor sent me one that he said, I said, I can't use it. I don't think we can use that one, Peter. And he wrote back and said, well, I'm glad to see you still have standards. I think he was just testing me to see if I was a complete crouton. Garlic is what makes the crouton worth eating, Julia.
Absolutely.
Julie Aaron says.
Right.
Yeah, Stingray. Fosi Hamish Ross's, he made a very good AC speech on a video posted this week. I haven't seen that. I think you're talking about his Helsinki presentation on classic yachts that he and Dawn Riley was there and others. And we'll get to that at some point. I just want to have Hamish come on the show when we do that. So there you are. Thanks, Martha Peterson. And then this one, I can't remember if I've run this before, but everybody loves to make fun of musicians. There's no banjo up there, at least. Munitions! I ordered a shipment of munitions. Clean. Simple. Graham Sweeney sent that over from Scotland, and it's just a nice way. Maybe we'll have a little bit of music this weekend here for our Memorial Day weekend. And if so, we hope maybe, Julia, we can get the guitar and banjo out here and play a couple songs over the weekend.
What a good idea.
That gets us to the finish line. And Julia, you like to say...
Yes, do not miss the opportunity to like, follow, and share.
Indeed. And of course, replays are welcome even Sorry, replays. I am Cortana. Comments are welcome even in replay because we leave the comments open because we trust everybody who watches the show. We also trust and respect and love and appreciate those of you who give us $1 or $2. Become a supporter via patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. As many of you do, give us $1 or $2 or $5 or more per month to help keep us on the air. It's viewer-supported media. Thanks to all of you. We have a studio with some nice equipment and some internet connections that work pretty well. We've dropped a few frames today. Don Lunabos, thank you for that. And thanks to everybody who gave us audio, video, and images for today's show. Julia, final thoughts?
No, I don't.
Did you see that Jody Shields is saying that Aussie teams just completed the World 1000? That's been going on for a long time. That is a Hobie Cat race up the East Coast with stops along the way, and they've just come in. Aussies have come in first and second. Great effort, lads. Okay,
Yes, it did.
congratulations to them. I'm not going to read Gordon Smith's comment. Steer DeYoung, thank you. Steer was the first one on, and he's still here at the bitter end. Thank you, Ted Ryman. Nice show as usual. And thanks to all of you for joining us. We hope those of you who are celebrating it this weekend, that you have, happy's not the right word, as we said at the top of the show, Julia, but have a meaningful Memorial Day weekend. It is the weekend that we give thanks to all those who did serve, and whether dead or alive, I mean, whether they passed on or are still with us, we appreciate very much, and we give thanks to them on this kickoff to our summer here in the States, and particularly the sailing season. There'll be a lot of regattas at a lot of clubs kicking off this weekend. And those of you who are celebrating, we hope you have a safe and wonderful Memorial Day weekend. In the meantime, we hope to see you on Tuesday, same time, same channel, 1300 Pacific, 2000 UTC this time of year. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Julia, ciao.
Ciao.
For now.